What is going on, guys? Rewinds here, and in this video I'm going to be bringing you guys the full spoilers for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Manga chapter number 21. So this video is going to be segmented kind of into two parts. The first part of it is going to be this full summary you guys see on screen right now that I'm going to be going over. That should be a little bit quicker than the second part. The second part is actually going to be all the pages and panels actually leaked this month for chapter 21. So we got lucky this month. It's one of those months where some leakers did get their hands on the chapter. So we are going to be having a look at those pages, and those pages also have some rough translations with that as well. So that's going to be the second part of the video. Shout out to Felix here though for the translation for the full summary. We're going to go over that real quick. It should be pretty similar to some of the stuff I covered in the last video, but maybe a little bit extra. So if you guys did see my last video, you can probably skip ahead and check out some of the panels instead. But there might be some extra context here. I haven't looked at this myself yet, so we're going to go over it together. So chapter 21, full summary. Chapter is titled Mangekyo Sharingan. Starts off by Sarada having some dialogue saying, "I've been thinking about it for a long time. I think I've closed my eyes to the truth long enough. I felt anxious about the fact that my goal of becoming Hokage seems so far away. In the face of misfortune that befalls me, I always feel powerless to do anything, but I didn't want to acknowledge it, that I was powerless. I was scared about that, so I closed my eyes to the truth." Sarada also says, "Sumire's feelings and my own. My feelings about Boruto. Everything, I thought it was a weakness. I denied it. And without realizing it, at the same time, I was denying the power hidden within me." This is some pretty cool writing. I like this internal conflict dialogue from Sarada here. I don't think I really got to go over this in my last video, so this is some, new stuff, which is nice to see that the full summary has a lot of that. So, let's see. Mitsuki's listening, says Sarada. Ryu says, "You keep prattle. What are you blabbing about, you retard?" Ryu also says, "Ooh, the attraction is getting stronger." Sarada says, "But I will no longer close my eyes to the truth, because if I do, I won't be able to face the reality in front of my eyes, and I won't be able to save anyone." Ryu says, "I can't move a single finger." Sarada says, "Becoming Hokage is my dream, but I need to start from the beginning, and accepting myself, strengths, and weaknesses alike is where I need to start." Again, really cool character moment for Sarada in my opinion. And then Sarada says, "Mangekyo Sharingan, Uhirume." I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but I think it is Uhirume. But, yeah. Ryu says, "Ooh," and Sarada's eye bleeds. Kaboom. Mitsuki says Sarada, because she just lost consciousness, and what's being assumed is she must have used a lot of chakra. So it seems like her Mangekyo Sharingan, though, was so OP that it took Ryu out pretty damn quick, which is crazy. So we know Sarada's going to be probably a very pivotal character going forward in terms of helping to beat these Shinjus. Mitsuki says, "The Togedama." Ada says, "Ryu has just been defeated, thanks to Sarada's new powers." Koji says, "So she managed to awaken in without problems. That was one of the most important parts of this battle, and now this has been achieved. Good." Ada says, "Good for you. Too bad for Yodo, though." Koji says, "Couldn't do much about that. Her sacrifice was the most important contribution in achieving this result. This has not been in vain." So it seems like Koji knew that Yodo was going to die, but this was a necessary sacrifice, it seems like, in order for Sarada to awaken. So shows you Koji doesn't really care about people dying. He just cares about what's going to give them the best chance for everyone to live on. So Koji's ideology might be that some sacrifices are necessary, and I guess that's what happened to Yodo. Boruto says, "Wait a second here, Koji. Answer me honestly. Was there a way to keep everyone alive while having Sarada awaken her new powers?" Koji says, "I can tell you this. If you had gone to their rescue, Sarada would have never awakened her new powers." So I wonder when he says that, if he's meaning in that instance, like she would never awaken it around, Ryu and around these Shinjus, or if she would straight up never awaken it, because it's kind of hard to believe that she would never awaken it at all. But hey, Koji's seen everything, so could mean either way. Boruto says, you knew from the start that Yoda was going to die and you told me nothing. Koji says, I judged at telling you that this would have achieved nothing, and now that we have the result, I can safely say that this was for the best. Then Boruto says, so what about Konohamaru-sensei? Is he going to beat Matsuri? Are you listening to me? Koji says, what about you? Do you listen to what I say? All the Shinju share these senses with Jura. If you show up in front of Matsuri, Jura will capture you faster than you can say Rasengan. You will die. I saw this pattern occurring numerous times. So, Koji's pretty much telling Boruto, if you pull up to this battlefield, you're done. Jura's going to take you out before you can even say your jutsu's name. And that's kind of crazy. It just shows you the power gap between the two right now. And Boruto doesn't say anything to this, but we switch over to Matsuri and Konohamaru. And Matsuri saying, how dare you betray me like that? You piece of trash. You won't get away with this. Boruto uses the Flying Thunder God to get to Konohamaru. And Mitsuki, we have Mitsuki over here, and it says there's a piece of metal on the ground. It's possible Boruto uses this for space-time travel. Boruto, Matsuri is there, and she says Boru, and Boruto cuts Matsuri to pieces. So she couldn't even say his name, and Boruto speed blitzed her pretty much. We know Matsuri's pretty banged up right now, but the fact that Boruto just did that with ease is pretty crazy, and it's going to make for a pretty cool moment. Koji says, no, that idiot. Is he trying to ruin everything? And then the last line of the chapter is Jura saying, here he is, finally. Otsutsuki Boruto. Chapter ends. So that's our summary version of what's going on. Seems like Jura might pull up on Boruto in the next chapter, but Boruto did save Konohamaru. Sarada did defeat Ryu, so those battles are over. And successful mission, honestly, overall, because Sarada got her powers, which is big. Yodo, unfortunately, did die, so that does suck for that part of the battlefield. But Boruto was able to save his sensei Konohamaru at least, and we know Konohamaru would have beat Matsuri anyway if he didn't hesitate that last moment. I'm going to show you guys some panels, of course, of everything, of what's to come for these upcoming pages, and we'll have a look at that. But if you look at one of those pages, you guys will see that Matsuri barely has any of her body left, so it makes you think that if Konohamaru didn't mess around and hesitate, he probably would have won this battle. But I am interested to see if Koji is going to actually acknowledge what would have happened in that Konohamaru-Matsuri battle if Boruto hadn't intervened. But anyway, let's cut on over. Let's look at these pages. Alright guys, moving on to the actual pages along with some of the translations for it. Shout out to Nakimov for posting these, and shout out to Kaz for translating these. So first things first, I haven't seen all of these. I've seen a couple, so I am going to react to some of them. This is the chapter cover itself. We have a Sarada solo cover, and it looks pretty good, just like most Ikimoto covers in my opinion for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. This is yet another good cover. I also really do like the whole blend we have in the background going with Sarada's fit. Black and red was, I feel like, a pretty good choice that Ikimoto made for her fit in general, as well as the background. And if you look in the background, we also have a little bit of like that black hole kind of picture, which is referring, I think, to her ability with the Mangekyo Sharingan. So cool stuff there. So this front page text translates to, in the land of despair, the apparition arises. And the chapter itself is titled Mangekyo Sharingan, like we had said earlier. Here is page 1. So page 1 is actually a flashback of Sarada talking with Boruto. This is actually, I believe, from back after the Chunin exams, where Sarada is finding out what Boruto's dream is. So that's that. We move on over here, page 2. So we actually have Sarada thinking back to Sumire and Naruto, and it translates to Sumire saying, Sarada, doesn't it bother you about Boruto-kun? It bothers me, though. Naruto says, to me as Hokage, yeah, it does. Everyone in the village is basically like family to me. So, and the Sumire text is, from, I think this is from chapter 19, it's saying here. And I don't know where the Naruto one is from, but this is all in flashback format. So we go on over here, page 3. Sarada is in deep thinking about protecting the lead and how that is, the duty of becoming Hokage. So this is showing Sarada is pretty much saying here that I want to be like the seventh. That's why I don't have time to dwell on unnecessary things. To protect all the people of the village and protect the future of the leaf, so I can become that kind of Hokage. Also, in case you guys are new to my channel, I'm not clicking the full images because copyright reasons. Shueisha, for some reason, has issues with that. So we're going to kind of leave it like this, just in case you guys were wondering. Page 4. Kawaki tells Sarada to move, and how far are you going to keep getting in my way? So this is, again, just that flashback. This is from chapter 78 of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. Page 5. More flashback panels in Sarada's point of view from the looks of it. So from what I'm getting right now, it seems like we're building up like this whole Sarada development and inner monologue that we're going to have going on a little bit later in the chapter that I talked about in the summary. So it seems like we're building up to that right now. Shikamaru says the whereabouts of the 7th Hokage are currently unknown, but the possibility that he's already dead has become very likely, at the hands of Boruto. Mitsuki says we have to chase him down right now. Let's go, Sarada. I'll be the one to kill him. Sasuke says can't blame them. In fact, that reaction's completely natural. Boruto really almost got Kawaki killed after all. And even Naruto and Hinata too. Sarada says none of this makes any sense. What on earth is going on? What's happened to everyone? So this is that moment, when that's kind of kicking in. Page 6. The point of view switches to Sumire jumping into action. Even though Boruto saved Kawaki, Ada said she wanted to do something. So this is Sumire over here saying it has nothing to do with ninjutsu or anything like that. Everyone ends up siding with her. It looks like that phenomenon. Something is happening. Even how everyone's obsessively chasing Kawaki. And yet, before we knew it, now it's Boruto whose life has been targeted. Ada did something to save Kawaki from his crisis. There's no way this could have happened under normal logic. There's clearly an intentional and astronomical force at work. Almost like a divine technique is influencing things. There's no other explanation. Sarada says, no way. It's as if everyone's memory. Not even a trace. Why is it always Boruto? Page 7. Boruto learns about the Mangekyo Sharingan from Sasuke. It is said to awaken in response to immense emotional trauma. Boruto says Mangekyo Sharingan? Sasuke says a mutated form of the Sharingan passed down in the Uchiha clan. It's said to awaken through some intense emotional trauma. So moving on now to page 8, where the flashback continues, and it pretty much says Sarada pleads to her dad that Boruto isn't a bad guy. In facing a dire situation, that I will likely become a great strength, according to Sasuke. Though apparently she doesn't seem to realize she has awakened it, the time will surely come when she fully realizes. And the translation here is pretty much, we're flashing back a little bit to where Sarada is saying, Dad, Boruto isn't guilty, he would never kill Lord Seventh, everyone's being duped. Sasuke said, all of us are being deceived. That's what she said, and it's likely the truth because Sarada's Mangekyo, to me, is the strongest reason to believe what she said. Boruto says, Uncle. Sasuke says, in facing the situation, that I will surely become a great power. Sarada herself didn't seem to realize she had awakened it yet. Eventually, the time will surely come when she does. So that's pretty much taking us to the present now with page number 9, where we have Sasuke say something up there. Then we cut to the present, where we have Sarada, cool little shot right there, with her spear / black hole in the background. And this translates to Sasuke says, one's own ability to the struggling self, what can it do? So that's pretty much referring to her ability. We do cut through page 10 and 11 for some reason, but here's page 12. So Sarada's pretty much locking in here. The dialogue is Ryu saying, what is that black spear? Uchiha Sarada, is this her ability? Sarada says, Mitsuki, take care of Araya and Yodo. Focus on protecting yourself. Mitsuki says, Sarada, that I. Page 13. Sarada is now realizing she has awakened a new ability and already come to realize what kind of power it is. Sarada says, "Don't worry. It's a newly awakened ability, but already I figured out what it is." Ryu says, "I don't know the reason, but all the Iron Sand seems to be drawn to that spear. If that's the case, then..." And it seems like he tries attacking her from a different direction. Page 14. Ryu says, "As long as you're in a straight line path, no problem." But it still doesn't reach Sarada. Page 15. This continues. Ryu says, "What the? In the opposite direction of the spear?" And the reasoning for that is because Sarada opened up another one of these spears. Page 16 is Ryu realizes there's one more. The one it just absorbed is a different spear. There are 2 spears. No, that's not it. And then as he's figuring it out, he realizes that there are 4. There are at least 4 spears. So Sarada has surrounded him with 4 of these spears with her Mangekyo Sharingan ability. Page 18. Now Ryu is floating. Ryu says, "My body." And Sarada is also floating. Page 19. Just shows them floating. Another better shot of that on this page. Ryu says, "Damn it. What the hell is going on?" Mitsuki says, "Floating. I see. This is probably..." And then we go over here to page 20 where he finishes that sentence and he says, "Gravity." Ryu is trying to use his Iron Sand to get to the ground to bring him back down, but that doesn't seem like it's working. On page 21, the spears are generating gravity. The particles, Iron Sand, and even Sarada seem to be under the influence. Mitsuki says, "That spear is probably generating gravity. Grains in Iron Sand, and it seems even Sarada herself is under its influence. It's a gravity that doesn't interfere with me, RYU, or anything else in the environment. It's choosing selectively. Sarada is choosing the targets." Ryu says, This force, it's pulling me in. I'm being pulled toward that spear myself." And then we go to page 22. Page 21 did good explaining the ability a bit. Sarada says pretty much that she's always been frustrated at how far everything felt and didn't want to acknowledge any of it. This is a little bit of that self-realization she got in this chapter. She says, "I've always been turning a blind eye to my goal of becoming Hokage, the impatience of feeling so far away from it, and to the misfortunes that kept coming down on me. I didn't want to accept any of it. My powerless self, my own helplessness. I was too scared to admit it, so I kept turning away." Continuing on to page 23, Sarada is pretty much letting loose all of her emotions now at this instant, and especially her feelings for Boruto and her own feelings as well. Sarada says, "I thought the class rep's feelings and my own conflicted emotions and my feelings towards Boruto were all signs of weakness. I had denied them. Without even realizing it, I was denying everything. My own feelings, the power I kept hidden within me." We go over here to page 24. Ryu lashes out on Sarada and calls her an emotional wreck. Mitsuki says, "Sarada." Ryu says, "Such a mess. What the hell are you on about, you mental wreck?" So Ryu's just frustrated right now, just kind of charging in and attacking, it seems like. But Sarada's kind of chill with like this whole self-realization she's having, so she's not seeming too worried. Page 26, so we did skip 25 for some reason. Sarada tells Ryu that if he runs away, he won't be able to face reality in front of him. The translation is, if you keep on running from yourself, you won't even be able to face the reality right in front of you. You won't be able to save a single person. Not a single one. And in this moment, it looks like Ryu is pretty much being sucked into the spear, from what it looks like. But it also looks like we see Jura right there at the bottom of that shot. So connect that to page 27. Ryu can't move at all, and Sarada tells herself, first of all, to becoming Hokage is that she needs to accept herself. Ryu says, "Huh? I can't even move 2 fingers." So this is actually him maybe trying to get back to his realm, like where the Shinju are, and Jura is taking notice of this. And Sarada says, "Becoming Hokage, that's my dream. In that case, first, I need to start by accepting myself. Gotta begin there, right?" So more, development here for Sarada with her current mentality. And Sarada on page 28 says, "Mangekyo Sharingan, Ohirume." So I've seen this translated with 2 O's and with 1 O now, so we're gonna, I guess, find out which one it is. But nonetheless, really amazing page right there with her using this ability. Really, really cool stuff. So far, art has looked pretty solid this chapter. And, that's been a trend, especially since 2 Blue Vortexes started and more towards the end of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. The art just continuously kept getting better. So page 29, I don't think I gotta explain. Pretty much Ryu is getting humbled pretty hard. So translation here is Ryu just screaming and seems like he's about to get beat. Page 30 and 31, I guess that's it for Ryu, is pretty much what's being said. Let's see if I can give you a little bit of a better image. So pretty much, yeah, she ends up defeating Ryu, and then she passes out herself, and Mitsuki ends up catching her. Page 32. Ada notes that Ryu has been defeated, and that one of the most important objectives in this battle now has been achieved. Her sacrifices played a major role in today's victory. That's what Ada says. And pretty much more translations to that is Koji saying, did she awaken it safely? One of the most crucial objectives of this battle was achieved first. Ada says, more than anything, it's a shame about Yodo-chan, though. Koji says it couldn't be helped. Her sacrifice played a major role in this outcome. It wasn't in vain. And then Boruto says, hey, wait, Koji. And then we have a lot more coming on in this next page here, page 34, where Boruto's pretty much asking about Konohamaru and if they would be able to beat the others like this. And then Jura shares a part of his senses with the other divine trees is pretty much what Koji's saying here. So let's go down to the actual translation. Boruto says, what will happen to Konohamaru sensei? Can we really beat Matsuri like this? I'm asking you. Koji says, you're the one who should be listening, Boruto. Listen. Jura shares part of his senses with the other humanoid divine trees. If you show yourself in front of Matsuri, you'll be detected by Jura in an instant, and then you'll be killed. I've seen multiple outcomes. Boruto says, answer me honestly. Was there really any chance Sarada would awaken it while everyone stayed safe? Was there really? Koji says, at the very least, I can say this much. If you had joined the fight, Sarada never would have awakened it. So, adding more to that, Boruto says, you knew and kept quiet, didn't you, that Yoda would end up like this? Koji said, I judged that there was no need to tell you, and now that it's come to this, I believe that judgment was not wrong. So Koji's kind of standing his ground on not wanting to tell Boruto about this death that happened. So, clearly he knew, though. Page 33, so we actually did cut ahead a little bit. The last one I just read was 34. Boruto says, answer me honestly. Oh, no, actually, this is what I had just read. Let me see. Yeah, this is the same stuff for some reason again. So we can just cut ahead. Page 36. Boruto pretty much shows up to this battle where Konohamaru is being attacked. So if you guys actually look closely, Matsuri's body is pretty much mostly destroyed. Konohamaru's attack last chapter with the Rasengans, the giant Rasengans, actually blew off most of her body, and pretty much she has like a little bit of an upper body left, and that's what she's using right now to stab Konohamaru. But Boruto pulls up to the battle, and Mitsuki says a metal fragment had fallen here. Might be something Boruto uses for space-time travel. So that little piece right there is what Boruto used to actually get here in this instant. And good thing this was established before, because otherwise I think some people might be a little bit less on board with it, maybe being out of nowhere and whatnot. But this was an established thing, so good use of that earlier on. And Boruto pulled up, and pretty much he saves Konohamaru. Page 37 right here. Matsuri says Boru, and then she just dies because Boruto pretty much speed blitz her, and he's so fast that if you look closely at this image, by the way, nice art again, Konohamaru's still looking the other way as Boruto did this speed blitz, so it just shows you how fast Boruto is right now. He's just in another level of his own. Really, really hype stuff. I'm excited to see, of course, what the actions what the consequences of these actions Boruto just did will be. We're going on to page 38. Jura instantly sends Boruto. Koji is a bit irritated of him jumping in. The side text is the ending of the chapter's cliffhanger. Boruto will carve through the cruel future, even if it means bringing his own death. End of chapter. And it says, Koji, that damn guy, are you planning to ruin everything? Jura says, so you've shown yourself, Otsutsuki Boruto. And that's the side text, like I told you, where it says Boruto will carve through the cruel future, even if it means bringing his own death. So, something that's interesting to note is we don't have more than 38 pages this month. I feel like sometimes we do get 40-page chapters, so this feels slightly shorter than what we have been getting. But, I mean, at the end of the day, this was a very content-packed chapter. Oh, here's page 26, by the way. The power is pulling me in stronger and stronger. Sarada says, enough. I won't look away. And that's referring to that whole part with RYU pretty much getting beat. And right here, page 32, was Mitsuki saying she's unconscious. Did she completely use up her chakra? And then we see that Thorn Soul Ball pop up after RYU is taken out. But we didn't see if anybody retrieved it yet. So, a lot of interesting stuff to come in this, upcoming next chapter, especially because now Jura might pull up to the battlefield now that he knows where Boruto's at. So stuff might get really, really intense next month. As for this month, though, really, really good pacing on stuff. Really exciting chapter. Probably the most exciting events we've had happen. And last month's chapter, by the way, was pretty good too. Like Sarada awakening the Mangekyo Sharingan, Konohamaru having his big moment with the double Rasengan, and how that was just narrated in general was really, really good. I think last month was a pretty good chapter, or even a great chapter, but this month seems like we may have even stepped it up beyond that. So that's awesome stuff there. I'm really excited to see where stuff heads. But that's pretty much it for this month's spoilers. My next video regarding this is probably going to be a review when the full chapter comes out in like 2 days, so look forward to that. But that's going to wrap up this one. If you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you guys are new. And as always, I hope you guys have a good day or night whenever you guys are watching this video. I'm Rewinds, and I'm out.